The day after I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on.
Is it feasible? Anthony Joshua didn't simply knock Jake Paul out. Therefore, the crazy conclusion is already set. He had Mike Tyson discreetly acknowledge that he preferred a script to blood by blowing up an entire illusion. Additionally, boxing now appears so artificial that it is impossible to turn back. And no, this isn't possible. So go back in time with me, because you have to acknowledge that this wasn't a battle in order to comprehend how we got here. When a real heavyweight touched a celebrity, the universe rectified itself, ending the slow-motion treachery.
I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I told y'all. They made Mike Tyson retract his statement on Twitter. They made him rewrite a post on top of deleting a post. Yeah, I told you that fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was rigged. I told you that. I don't care what Mike Tyson is saying now. He have to do that to secure his money. He's still an investment for future exhibitions.
Because it wasn't pride or shock, I can't get the ringside picture of Tyson watching Joshua destroy Paul out of my head. That was a mixture of regret and recognition. The kind of regret that creeps up your spine when you discover that someone else has just completed the task for which you were compensated. And every muscle memory in Tyson's body was aware of it. And you are currently lying to yourself if you believe that didn't hit him like a truck. This is the section that no one wants to sit in, since it quickly becomes uncomfortable. Tyson had the option to kill Jake Paul at any time, and everyone in that building, even Jake, was aware of it. This Joshua knockout is more powerful because it demonstrates that the threat was always present, and the ceiling was never real. And no matter how many statements are altered, once the reality comes out, it cannot be sealed. The timeline broke when Joshua downed Paul in the 5th round, because all of the previous fights were immediately scrutinized more closely. I can assure you that viewers were simultaneously asking the same prohibited question and mentally going back to that Tyson story. How come he didn't do this? Why didn't he shoot? What made this feel different? And such questions never end once they begin to loop.
Sit down on a podcast one time and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather. He said, I'm only doing real fights. And of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
People frequently refer to this as a mismatch. But since this was exposure, that term is too clean to describe what transpired. After being suspended for years, gravity was now making its appearance. Joshua also took his time. It's terrifying because he chased it, and when a true warrior takes his time, it indicates that he already knows the outcome. And Jake sensed that information gradually closing in on him. The 6th round then came in like a verdict. And the meaning is what I mean, not the punch. Because that right hand violated permission in addition to breaking a jaw. Authorization for this experiment to continue acting like boxing. Additionally, the jokes cease to exist as soon as titanium plates are brought up. And anyone who continues to laugh is either lying or numb. Eddie Hearn's comment about giving Jake his debut and AJ handing him his final fight chills me because it wasn't trash talk. That was the last thing to say. Additionally, until they think the door is truly closed, promoters don't speak in such a manner. And you're completely ignoring the psychological harm if you believe Jake didn't hear that reverberating in his mind while gazing at hospital lights.
Eddie, I want to follow with you because when this fight was first announced, you had said something to the effect of this would end Jake Paul's career. After what you saw tonight, do you think that Jake should continue to box, or what do you think the future holds for him?
Yeah, I really take my hat off to. I mean, we have to see if it is a broken jaw. Those injuries are very difficult to come back from. But as AJ said, like that last shot would have knocked out a lot of heavyweights. And I know he went down heavy, but you know, he was conscious on the floor. And I thought his game plan, although obviously very negative early on, which it had to be, was,
back to Tyson,
was smart at times. And there were times where he held his feet and let his hands go. It was a very one-sided fight. It was always going to be a one.
One man followed the script, while another tore it apart. And history only remembers one of those decisions, regardless of the size of the check. So witnessing Joshua tear it apart necessitates a terrible comparison. I don't care how many people label this as a conspiracy, since Tyson himself opened the door when he said he didn't even recall the fight, and woke up wondering why he did it. That's not the voice of a man content with a performance. That's the voice of someone who is aware that he left something holy on the table. And rather than being quieter over time, that kind of sorrow becomes louder. This is important, so let me say it carefully. After the bout, Joshua didn't need to say anything, since his fist said it all, and his silence supported it. Additionally, when silence takes over as the strongest voice in the room, it indicates that the truth is too clear to ignore. And whether they acknowledge it or not, every influencer fighter watching at the moment felt sick to their stomach.
Are you in pain?
Yeah, but it's not from like talking.
Talk to me about what your jaw feels like, because you got
It's like a baseball in there.
two
then-
plates,
It just feels like
4 titanium plates.
4 titanium plates. How many do you have?
Just one.
Because it jeopardizes the entire business model. No one wants to pull just yet. How vulnerable was this ecology all along if one true heavyweight could destroy years of anticipation in just 6 rounds? And if that question makes you uneasy, you should be, since someone is currently frantically trying to figure out what this implies behind the scenes.
Oh no, I don't remember the fight that much. I kind of blanked out a little. Listen, know what I remember? Coming back from the first round, and then the next day I remember Jacob doing some kind of, I don't know, what was he doing at the ring?
Oh, yeah, a little bow at the end. He bowed.
And that's the last thing I remember. But the day after the fight, the day after, I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on.
What did you think of Jake's power, man, when you were in there?
Because biology is truthful and marketing cannot dispute bone fractures, I can't stop thinking about Tyson after seeing that broken jaw news story. Additionally, witnessing tangible evidence of the effects of a genuine punch makes you face every instance in which you decided against throwing one. And no, this is not genuine. Unless he's already suffering far more from regret than he's admitting. This is a time bomb that you shouldn't overlook, since boxing has traditionally thrived on belief, which is currently eroding. How many more fights are going to be relitigated in the public's view if Tyson is now openly acknowledging that money controlled outcomes? Joshua's cool demeanor throughout is another factor that won't go away, because calm fighters are the most dangerous and truthful. And his composure gave the impression that he was making a correction rather than pursuing fame. Additionally, corrections spread beyond a single target. So consider the next person who feels vulnerable.
I'm just hoping after this Floyd fight, maybe we can have a rematch. He did well, but I want to try it again.
Is that something that you would be interested in terms of righting the wrong?
I would be interested. Yes, I would be interested.
The silence that follows feels contrived, so there isn't a press quote or a stunning highlight. Additionally, when things suddenly become quiet, it usually indicates that tales are being hidden and deals are being redone. And since this issue is still developing, and something worse is undoubtedly on the horizon, I don't trust it at all. This knockout will appear to be a warning shot when it breaks. I can't stop thinking about how predictable it all seemed in retrospect, as if the sport itself decided to snap the rubber band back into place after becoming weary of pretending, because the boundary between spectacle and competition had been pushed so far for years that it was on the verge of collapsing. And when it did, Joshua just so happened to be the one standing there. I can't stop thinking about how this whole endeavor was destroyed when confidence gave way to hubris without anyone noticing. The conviction that reality could be negotiated if you spoke loudly enough and attracted a large enough audience was more important than ambition or wealth. Watching a story fall apart in real time reveals how much of what we consume as fans is predicated on trust, which is quite unnerving. And once that trust erodes, you begin to doubt everything in retrospect, such as how many of the moments you cheered for were genuine and how many were skillfully constructed to safeguard an outcome. Joshua did more than simply prevail in a battle. He reinstated penalties. Consequences don't trend well, but they linger and sit with fighters long after the cameras are gone and the tweets stop flowing. So that's the part that people aren't completely absorbing yet. The contrast between preparation and promotion is something I can't get rid of, because one takes place in quiet while the other requires noise to thrive, and the silence always prevails when they do clash. Just definitely, without being loud or spectacular. Like gravity informing you that hype has never impressed it. What really worries me is how commonplace it has become to depict actual combatants as plot points, rather than as people with decades of experience and damage ingrained in their instincts. Because once you reduce humans to story gadgets, you forget that they can make a single, clear decision to end your night. The knowledge that even legends are susceptible to the system has an oddly depressing quality. That even someone like Tyson can succumb to the allure of wealth and spectacle, because it demonstrates how strong the machinery has grown, and how difficult it is to leave once you're within. I don't think people realize how uncommon it is to witness a moment that completely changes the emotional hierarchy of a sport, with the silent pros being the only ones with credibility intact, and the loudest voices abruptly becoming quiet. That knockout gets more intense with each playback. Not because of the punch itself, but rather because of what it stands for. A distinct boundary between tiers. A reminder that experience is more than just time spent. It's also harm sustained, and lessons discovered the hard way. Ironically, the quest for validity ended up hastening the demise of illusion, because pursuing true competition will eventually lead to meeting it. Furthermore, true competition doesn't give a damn about optics, branding, or convenience. I can't stop thinking about how many boxers simultaneously experienced two opposing feelings while watching that fight. They are relieved that the sport protected itself, but they are also afraid that if they ever mistake the difference between competence and confidence, the same spotlight might turn against them. However, fallout is more significant than the fight, because it causes careers to alter, managers to reevaluate, matchmaking philosophies to shift, and fans to reevaluate what they will believe the next time a significant promise is made. Joshua didn't hurry to prove anything, so there's also a lesson on patience here. He waited for the inevitable opening and realized that patience is a skill that can only be acquired after years of punishment for impatience. This sticks because it didn't feel harsh or over the top. It felt surgical, which in some ways makes it more damning because there was no chaos to hide behind, just a planned demolition that left only internal responsibility. Even though the sport didn't want this moment, I believe it was necessary. Because boxing runs the risk of becoming overly theatrical without regular reality checks. And no matter how extravagant the lighting is, a theater without risk eventually becomes empty. Audiences may still enjoy spectacle, but when authenticity finally appears, they are reminded of how much they value it. As a result, there is currently a silent reckoning taking place, not only for one fighter, but for the entire strategy of promoting fights. I can't help but think that this will alter the way crossover is discussed in the future, because it calls for respect amongst disciplines, rather than one side taking credit without earning it. Because uncertainty doesn't go away once it reaches this stage, the psychological harm may outlast the physical wounds. And the one thing you can't overcome with money or conditioning is uncertainty. The thing that sticks with me the most is how quickly adulation gives way to scrutiny when the shield is removed. Because when the dream fails, the same people who once supported it will ruthlessly deconstruct it. And if you're not ready for it, that swing can be terrible. This story doesn't have a neat conclusion. No need to tie it up with a moral bow. Just a feeling that something changed and isn't quite right. Similar to tectonic plates that are still experiencing aftershocks from an earthquake. The fact that this isn't the last chapter is the most unsettling aspect. Because if a sport reveals a fault line in this way, it may be even louder, messier, and less forgiving the next time it succeeds.